Now the area of funding. Right now the police force, there's been that issue of funding and equipment that is insufficient. Then you hear of states that are not able to pay salaries. Some states are still owing salaries and pensions for months. And you're talking about state police. How would the funding be? How would the equipping this police force be?
All right, thank you. See, the way it works is that each state will have to take responsibility for its own funding. Remember that the fact that we establish state police does not mean that every state will have to establish a state police. It's just giving the enabling environment, the supporting legislation that will enable states that desire state police to establish. So if, for instance, Plateau can afford state police, so be it. And if we are not able to afford it, it doesn't matter. The state police, the federal police continue to function there. So what will now happen is that if states that can afford it, like Kano, maybe Lagos and Rivers State and a few other states can afford it. Now, what will happen is that the pressure on the federal police in those places will reduce. So some policemen will now be moved to other places that can't afford it, until such a time when a particular state can afford it. So this is what is happening in Australia. It's also happening in Canada. There are states who couldn't afford. So the national police are also dealing with police matters in those respective states. So it doesn't mean that each state must go ahead and say, if you set it up, what is happening is that we are trying to hold everybody down, you know. So, but let's say, let us all get up. Those who can walk, let them walk. Those who can run, let them run.
But Senator, one of the challenges that comes up then, if you look at Yobe State, for example, yes, bottom 3 in terms of federal allocation, very little IGR. When you look at River State, top 3 in both categories. Clearly, the affordability is going to be different. But if you have more security threats in Yobe than River State, there's a bit of a kind of a problem there. How do you intend to address that?
We're going to make a provision for grants to stay, but those grants have to be recommended by the National Police Service Commission and then get approved by the National Assembly. So there's going to be some level of, checks to ensure that if there's a need for support, some states can get a support. But as I said, remember that I said that if, say, let's say about half of Nigerian states are able to provide state police. Now, assuming they had 50-50 policemen, and then because they now have their own police, those police in those states will now reduce to maybe 20. So there's have about 30 that are free that you can send to Yobe or wherever. So everybody benefits from it.
After this break, I'm going to ask you about how the state police could potentially, or maybe not, conflict with federal police in various theaters. Okay. Our viewers, after this break, we'll come back. Please do stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. Standing by with me is the Deputy Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Ekweremadu. Senator, very quickly, the show's about to close, but when you look at what is your proposal,
yes,
and you look at, let me just use River State as a case study, where you have a lot of ethnic groups, Ekwere, Ogoni, Ija, for example, but Ekwere is the ethnic majority as it's currently constructed. Now, if a state governor is given that kind of wide-reaching power to establish a force, is there no concern on your part that that configuration of the police force might be recruited on the basis of political considerations in such a way that could lead to political or ethnic suppression within the states?
Well, thank you. See, that's the thing. I've always talked about the issue of abuse. We know that there's possible abuse. So we're trying to put structures in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Remember that the governor is not going to appoint one single policeman, except the chairman of the commission. It's the commission that does all the appointments.
Appointed by the governor?
Yeah, appointed by the governor, but he's not the only member, because the Public Complaint Commission will have somebody, Human Rights Commission will have MBA, NJ, so many people have members there, and they are those who do this recruiting. And then they're going to create standards for doing this. And remember that when you do this, the National Police Service Commission will also we have oversight of what they're doing. So they're not going to allow any person to do that kind of a thing.
That National Police Service Commission you referred to seems to be the central check on potential abuses of the state government.
Just like the NJC, that's why a judge, a governor, cannot wake up and appoint all the judges from his village.
But where I'm going is what happens now when the ruling party at the center of the federal government is the same as the ruling party in particular states. Wouldn't the state governors now have more leverage than, say, an opposition state with the National Police Service Commission under the same party?
You see, I just keep coming back to NJC because it has really worked, and I want to thank the judiciary. Today, we have the federal government controlled by APC. We have APC states. So NJC is not dancing to the whims and caprices of federal government, the APC. They're not going to listen to you. So if you have a structure in the police like that, whether you are APC or PDP in government, wherever, they don't care. You know, and we're going to even do something better than NJC because we're going to bring other critical sectors. We're going to improve on the services the NJC is rendering with regard to police.
Will this get to take effect before the election?
Well, it all depends on how serious we are. If we all decide to do it in 1 week or two, we can finish it. But mind you, as I say, if we don't do it, we're going to run into a problem, and we continue to run into a problem. We're not trying to do something new. It's done all over the world. We've just been left behind. We're the only country that's not doing it. And that's why we're having this problem. Nobody's going to come to Nigeria to invest its money unless we'll be able to improve our security. And our people will not get jobs. So it's the center of all these things.
Senator, at this juncture, we will have to close the show. We've run out of time. I wish we could continue.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for coming on and sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
My pleasure.
Standing by with me has been the Deputy Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Ekweremadu. At this juncture, we close the segment. My name, I am Ajuri Ngelale, and I now throw it over to Lagos, where Chamberlain is standing by.
Well, yes, indeed, I can tell you the social media is buzzing. Everyone's saying a thing or two about what they think and how it should be structured. That's the show as well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Neil Tag. We're hoping that the National Assembly will also take into account the structures of the state. You know that state of origin thing? From the Constitution, they might need to look at it again. But thank you for watching. Bye.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.